Everybody is here.
What about Jack McEnany?
He's
He's
down
here.
there in the
He's
corner.
right there.
Hello,
Yeah.
Jack.
Hey, Jack.
You can't recognize him. He still hasn't had his hair cut.
We're all getting a little shaggy.
He's muted.
Hey, Trish.
Everybody except Lee. You've got a haircut.
Yeah, I'm close shaved.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get the meeting underway. Oops. Oh, okay. My name's John Myers. I'm the chair of the committee. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Historic Resources Commission. We are holding a public hearing today, and any comments from the audience will be invited at the end of our deliberations, and we would just request that comments be limited to the topic at hand and of 3 minutes duration in the interest of our remote meeting. I will, let's see, have a roll call. So Commissioner Hacker,
Here.
Commissioner Pinkney,
Present.
Commissioner Kaplan,
Here.
Commissioner Tobin,
Here.
Commissioner McEnany, well, I saw him, so he's here. Commissioner Garrity.
You are unmuted by host. Now am I in?
You're in.
Now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And Commissioner Garrity, I saw you previously. We are also joined by Aaron Glennon from the planning office staff and Amy Levine from the law department. So the first item and only item on the agenda is consideration of 251, 255 North Pearl Street and 75 Livingston Avenue for nomination for state and national register for the former location of the National Biscuit Company. I would say that it was quite a comprehensive write-up and presentation that was provided to us. I read all of it today and was fascinated by the history of it, and invite the applicant to present the project or present the nomination for our consideration.
Okay, well, I will do so. I'm Tricia Altman. I'm an architectural historian and preservation consultant. I was retained by Cap Rep to prepare the National Register nomination on their building, which is the 251, 255 North Pearl Street building. And because they were seeking state and federal historic tax credits for the rehabilitation of the building into their new performance space and home. So I will, Erin, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So just a couple of words about the process. I did extensive research in preparing the nomination, all the usual suspects, deeds, maps, permits. The bibliography is included in the nomination. Just a couple of key pieces of research that I found really helpful and really interesting. The first is this photograph, and I apologize. I just realized today when I looked through these slides, this is not 1921. This is actually 1916. A view of the North Pearl Street building. And you can actually see going down, this is looking northeast, you can see going down toward Livingston, what the 75 Livingston building originally looked like. It was originally a 3-story building, but you'll see in the next photograph that it was altered extensively. It actually became a 2-story building. This is from the 1930s. There were also permit drawings from 1921 that showed the extensive alterations to the main bakery building here on North Pearl Street that were also just incredibly helpful. I met on site with SHPO staff and it consulted with them to develop the strategy for the nomination. And between the research and the consulting with SHPO, we came up with a strategy of, we came up with the decision to nominate the North Pearl Street building as part of a complex of 3 resources: the North Pearl Street building, the building behind it at 75 Livingston, and what you'll later see are the extant masonry walls of what had been the company's stables that are behind both of these buildings, and to nominate them under Criterion A for their association with the baking industry in Albany. We have, you should know, received Park Service Part 1, their preliminary determination of individual listing for the complex, including all 3 of the structures as contributing resources, and are looking forward to going forward with the tax credit application. So just incredibly briefly, because it's all detailed in the nomination, the building, actually, Erin, can you go back one? Thank you. So the building at North Pearl Street and Livingston was constructed in 1888 by the E.J. Larrabee and Company baking company. They're a local company, and they constructed this building after fire destroyed their previous building on the site, which had been the old St. Joe's Church, which they had repurposed into a commercial baking facility, which I found totally fascinating. And I actually do have, it wasn't included in the nomination, but I do have, I found online an invoice from the Larrabee company from 1871, I think it was, that actually shows in the upper corner the church building as their building. So we know that that was the case. So 1887, there was the fire that really kind of took out a bunch of buildings in this area. 1888, they constructed this building. The Livingston building was constructed at about the same time. The stables, as far as I can tell, were constructed by 1892. And then when the National Biscuit Company came in, they made extensive alterations to the North Pearl Street building. We have those from the permit drawings of 1921. And also they expanded into that Livingston Street building for offices, made extensive alterations there. And they were there until, and actually, Erin, go to the next slide. I'm sorry to keep going back and forth. So this is from the 1930s. You can see a little bit of a difference in that Livingston Street building. And so the National Biscuit Company was here until 1959 when they moved out and sold the building. Since then, it's been, it's had a couple of different owners over the decades. Most recently, it's been largely vacant and really unmaintained. You can go to the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. And this is a 1920s shot looking up Livingston from Broadway, and you can see that Livingston Street building. It's obviously been extensively altered on the outside. Next slide. So this is what we're looking at now. This gives you a sense of the complex on the site. You're at North Pearl and Livingston looking northeast. Obviously the 2-story and basement red brick building in front of you. That's the bakery building. Down Livingston there to the right, the blue building is, that's the 75 Livingston. Next slide. And this is looking northwest from from Broadway and Livingston. Again, the 75 Livingston Street building is blue. You can see in this picture the one of the walls of the stables. It's where the face is in that mural. That's the east elevation. Next. So 251 North Pearl, it has had a lot of changes over the years, but some of the key features, the red brick walls, that frieze, which the company used for its signage, the awning, and what you can't see in that, the two bays all the way on the right, the storefront, there is a cast iron storefront behind all of those plywood panels that marked the company's kind of the main entrance to the building. That's all still behind there. Next.
You would see that storefront in the 1913 picture.
That's right. Thanks, Philip. So this is the Livingston elevation. Next. And the interior. This is a building that clearly has been used hard over the years and has had a lot of alterations. Next. But some of the kind of character defining features of the space, the volume, the industrial utilitarian nature of it, and really it's the structure. So it's the exposed brick walls, perimeter walls, the post and beam construction, the floor and roof framing. You can see in the slide, the image on the right, there's one bay, the northernmost bay, where fireproofing was added to the building. So you can see the brick vaulted ceiling, and it has a different structure. Next. And the second floor is much the same as the first. Here we also see a lot of water damage from roof leaks and downspout leaks. And
which direction am I looking at?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
or the Pearl Street side. When am I looking west? When am I looking north?
Okay, I'm sorry. So Erin, can you go back one?
Yep.
So on the left, you are looking north on the, and Philip, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. And on the right, you're looking northeast.
Yep.
Yep, okay.
And then the next one, I always get confused on the second floor. Philip, is this southeast?
Southeast.
And then southwest, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Next. And in the basement, one of the most interesting things that we've discovered is in 1921, part of the alterations included removal of the large ovens that had been in the basement. And this wall that you see on the left, so you're looking northwest in the basement. That's an interior foundation wall. And on the right, you're looking south. So that's the other side of that wall. And there are a couple of these, where the openings for the ovens had been. Next. And so going quickly through 75 Livingston, this is the exterior. Obviously, it's been altered, new windows, new doors, painted, but it retains the same form, and it clearly still reads as a small scale commercial or mixed use building. you see that first bay there on the right, the vehicular entrance, that was the entrance into the stables.
Were these two buildings built at the same time?
They actually were built, yes, because
Okay.
the fire in 1887 that destroyed the former church building also took out a bunch of frame buildings that were around it, including a frame building that was on the Livingston site.
Okay.
I'd love to
So-
see a picture of that first St. Joseph's. I've never really seen a picture of it. I've seen a little sketch of it at one time. But that's
Yeah, I mean, that's all I have is really, I don't know if it's a sketch or if it's but it's
did it face Livingston or face Pearl?
faced Pearl.
Okay.
Face Pearl. So I can, Aaron, I'll send that to you and then you can send it.
I'd
Jack?
love to see whatever.
Yeah, that would be great, Trisha.
I can do that.
Thank you.
So go on to the next one.
Sorry.
Thank you. And again, this is the east elevation of 75 Livingston, and you can see the behind it the wall of the stables with that big face.
Who is the face?
I
Rockefeller.
don't know.
It looks like, I was gonna say it looked like Rockefeller.
It is Rockefeller.
Oh, it is? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Next. So this is the interior of 75 Livingston. This is Albany Distilling Company. Both of these are facing south. And this is the first floor. Albany Distilling is using this as their bottle shop or their store and tasting room. You can see again, you know, it's pretty utilitarian in nature and character. You know,
Were these interior walls ever finished, plaster wise?
I don't know. I would think they probably were, because
Okay.
this was a I'm trying to remember what was on the Sanborns. I think it was a saloon on the first floor. So probably at some point, yes, they were finished.
Okay.
And actually upstairs, if you go to the next slide, Aaron. So some of the, I mean, this is drywall, but I think some of the walls upstairs were finished. So on the left is the second floor looking, good grief, northeast. And then on the right, we're moving into the courtyard, the interior of the stables. This is looking west. And you'll note in the National Register nomination, we talk about a boiler room addition that was inserted into the middle of these kind of three resources that then connected them all internally. So you're looking on the right there, you're looking kind of through that wall into that boiler room addition. I hope that makes sense. So this is the interior wall of the stables. 75 Livingston is to your right. North Pearl is beyond what you're looking at, and that boiler room addition is right there in the middle of it. Does that make sense? Okay, next. So this gives you a sense of what the interior of the stable ruins is like. Albany Distilling is using it as, you know, an outdoor space for seating and events. So on the left, you're looking northwest, and on the right, you're looking southeast, and you can see down kind of in the corner there, that's the end, that's that entrance coming down from Livingston. Next. And that's it. That's a statement of significance. You know, we decided to go for that it's significant locally under criterion A for its association with the baking industry in Albany, and it has the three contributing resources, and the period of significance we identified as going from the time of the fire and reconstruction of North Pearl in 1887, 1888, through the time that the National Biscuit Company vacated the building and sold it in 1959.
Couple of questions.
Yes. Yes, Lee.
The North Pearl elevation, first floor. You talk about the cast iron opening. What about
Yes.
those other openings? Are those other openings original, or have they been additions, or has the first floor changed drastically?
It has changed. Erin, can you go back to that, the historic photos?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, this is, Lee, this is why the 1921 permit drawings were so helpful, because it really showed what was going on there. And I'm happy to share those as well. It's, you know, I took photos of all of those. So go back one more, please, Erin.
This one or
That one's perfect. No, one more. Yes.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. Right.
So this is what I believe the building originally looked like, with that cast iron storefront that you see there on the corner.
Yeah, that's pretty
And
neat.
a sort of temporary, you know, awning that didn't go all the way across the facade.
Right.
And also there wasn't a vehicular entrance in those northernmost bays. Those to me look like just plain old windows, but to the north of the cast iron storefront.
Right.
But
Now,
if you go to the next photo.
yeah,
So
yeah.
So it's and this is actually what those 1921 permit drawings document. They closed in the middle section of the storefront.
Okay.
You see that?
Yeah.
And they extended all of those other windows all the way to the, you know, full height.
Right.
And put in these very cool loading doors that were paneled and also had wire glass in them and could be raised or slid. I can't remember, but they moved in some really cool manner. And those are no longer there.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Now jumping the gun a little bit. There's work being done on this building. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. What is? What's happening on the first floor? Are you all going to go back to that cast iron storefront opening, or
On the exterior?
Yeah. Just on the
We
exterior.
are actually essentially going back to this photo because this is what we have documentation for.
Okay.
So we're replacing in kind that awning across the front.
Okay.
And we are keeping we're exposing that storefront.
Very good.
But also keeping that center section of it blocked up, because that's what we see here. And then the vehicular entrance is going to stay the way it is. That was a later alteration.
Okay.
But the rep needs that load. It's perfect for loading for backstage.
Okay.
But all of those other openings that you see there on the first story, they're going to be based on those permit drawings that show what those loading doors look like. They're going to be replicating those doors and installing them in those openings.
Very good. Very good.
So the period of significance is really based on the 1921 permit drawings and the appearance of the building when it underwent that alteration. Okay.
Well, that it's the full period of significance is the time that the complex as a, what evolved and was associated with the baking industry in Albany. Any other questions?
I think the building is worthy of the National Register. I mean, it retains all its original and later additional fabric elements, and it still survives. It's the only historic building at that intersection.
Well, and what's, important, I think, is also that it's been missed by a couple of historic districts. So the Broadway Livingston Historic District stops kind of just short of the 75 Livingston building, doesn't continue to this corner, and the Clinton Historic District stops just there's a vacant lot on the southeast corner of North Pearl and Livingston. So the Clinton Avenue Historic District stops just before that vacant lot. So it really, it's like this hole.
Where is Hope House and the former parsonage and the Holy Innocents Church? They've got to be on the register somewhere.
Hope House, as far as I can tell, Aaron, you can correct me. I believe Hope House is not in a historic district, not on the register, and Holy Innocents is individually listed. And both of those are just north of here on North Pearl Street.
That's an oversight, because Hope House should have been put in there. That was St. Joseph's high school for girls.
The Holy Innocents is a
Individual.
it's individually listed, and it is an individual city landmark as well.
Yeah.
We should take a look at Hope House, because it's not terribly altered, and it has a very rich history, and it's now the missing tooth in naming that block. So if you take that whole block and we do this with Capitol Rep, and we're going to run all the way down to Colony Street, there's no reason on earth why the former St. Joseph's School should not be included. It's now Hope House.
What's the schedule kind of going forward with the NR and the state and the NR, and then part 1, part 2?
We did receive a preliminary determination on the part 1 and the part 2. And Philip, you can speak to the schedule of finishing up the project.
So construction stopped twice through the COVID stuff for a couple weeks each, but is back at full bore and should be completed by the 1st of September.
Wow, that's great.
A lot of work's been done. We're not going to be able to occupy it probably, but it'll be done.
And also, Marilyn, the State Review Board, we're on their agenda for the 11th. The 11th? The 12th? For this
11,
month.
yeah.
11.
So they're meeting Zoom, they're doing their stuff.
Yeah,
Kind of.
we're all doing Zoom.
That's an important date. That's the date of my first haircut in 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
Don't do it, Jack.
Don't do it. I love it.
I know, it's overrated. You don't need a haircut.
Yeah, nice job. It was a great nomination. Nicely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great project and a great corner to be recognized. And I think we're all lucky that this building survived. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Sarah.
I think there's a reason why we did not put, collectively, we did not put Hope House on the National Register, because sometimes there's a bias against industrial buildings. And as people were drawing their lines for the Ten Brook Triangle and going over to Livingston and taking lower Clinton Avenue, you take a look at an industrial building and immediately there's the bias that that doesn't have to be, that's not important enough. And I really commend Capitol Rep and all those people who make it a reality for recognizing that this was a very significant part architecturally and socially of the history of Albany and the Capital Region. And I would hope we would fill in with the building, which I assume is mid-century to the north with Hope House.
Thank you for the presentation, Tricia.
Thanks, Lee.
Very good presentation.
No, that was great. And the write-up certainly was
Yes.
quite an interesting read. I guess the only comment I would have is it would have been helpful to have had plans within that so that you could orient yourself as you were reading through the different components of the project and the evolution of the building.
Yeah, what's going to happen with the awning that's been there? That apparently,
The awning was removed, Jack,
yeah,
and a new awning of a very similar configuration, but of structurally sound construction is replacing it.
will it be of the entire length of the west, the west side?
Yep, it is.
Oh,
And
that's great.
it's like its depth will be roughly the same.
Wonderful.
And then this is not historic, but we are also going to put snow melt down Livingston. So between the awning and the snow melt on Livingston, the whole block there should be comfortable in bad weather.
What do you expect for the finishing of the buildings? Is it clean or painted brick, or what's the story on it?
Nope.
Red brick. Right now, the first story on the facade and one bay on the side are painted white, but it's really failing. This paint scheme is crazy. If you look under if you kind of take away some of the paint on the the first story on North Pearl, it looks like each brick was painted individually a different color. but it's mostly, it's not there anymore except kind of those layers of paint along North Pearl. So the plan is to gently get the paint off of where it is now and just leave it just exposed red brick.
So it was done just as brick, exposed red brick, as Trish said, and it's as if at some point in the 1920s, a Dutch family came and decided to paint it red and then paint all the lines white. It's really goofy. It's amazing.
Yeah. So the just a couple more details. The most of the windows are no longer there. There are a couple of sash here and there, but the 9/9 windows are being put in. They're using the frieze on the facade and on Livingston to put. That's where signage is going to go, as it was historically. What else, Philip? The interior shutters that you can actually see in this photo in the corner space there. I think there was maybe one pair of them remaining. And so we've been able to replicate those and use them in spaces like that particular space where you see them in this photo. That's going to be the black box theater. And obviously you want it to be dark. So we came up with the idea to use interior shutters to create the dark space in that theater while maintaining the appearance on the exterior.
Who is the contractor doing the work?
MLB.
Hey, Aaron, are we going to see the drawings? Will the drawings come in front of the commission?
So this is going for National Register nomination. So
yeah.
any work on the building does not require a certificate of appropriateness or review by the HRC.
Oh, okay.
We would like to see it, however, since we are supposed to know everything that's going on in this building. And if that could be sent as a courtesy to us, that would be helpful.
I have no problem with that. I'm not sure how we get it to you because they're, unless we have reductions, Trish, we'll just have to check with Ron tomorrow.
Well, and I think that the project should be on file with the planning department for the reviews that you
Oh,
want.
yeah.
So we may have a copy that I can see if I have access to. So,
Great. Aaron, just contact me if there's an issue.
Okay, I will. So,
What is happening with the Livingston Avenue building that's occupied by Albany Distilling?
They still are occupying it. The buildings are separate. They're separate deeds. They were separated a long time ago. The Park Service wanted us to, actually SHPO wanted us to look at them together since they had once been aligned.
Right.
And the owners of the Albany Distilling were happy to have the building be listed. So that worked out well.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
they-
there's no objection by any of the owning parties to the listing?
No, John, in fact, is the opposite. He loved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's very house proud. They love that building. They shared research with me. I shared research with them. It's and yeah, it's a good relationship.
Have to bring the horses back.
Well, they've got the cat back.
Okay.
Everybody asks about his cat.
Just to let everybody know, I do see everybody, but I don't see everybody at once.
No, that's
'Cause
true.
I was having an issue earlier, but I can see, like, I'm seeing Trisha now, and I don't know who I'm gonna see next, but when a person talks, I see them. So that's just as good as seeing everybody on. I'd rather see one big picture of each person than 5 or 6 people on the screen. Hi, Marilyn, I see you.
But just that, because I was chuckling, you got me because I was chuckling. I do remember that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Are we ready for a motion, or do we need to make a motion on this?
yeah, so I was just going to say, being that the city of Albany is a certified local government, HRC is required to make either a motion in support of the nomination or a finding, I guess, against the statement of significance and the finding that it meets criterion A. So yes, if someone wants to make a motion, and then we're also required to take public comments. So.
I move that we
Well-
support the motion, or I'm sorry, I move that we support the National Register nomination.
Second,
Okay, the nomination, the support of the nomination, I guess supporting the nomination of this complex for National Register listing under criterion A is what we're basically endorsing.
Mhm.
Okay. And are there any members of the public that had signed up or?
I have Kara Macri from Historic Albany Foundation. So,
Well, we
Kara,
would
you
invite
are
comment at this moment.
Thank you. We just wanted to say that Historic Albany is so thrilled to see this project moving along and being listed. The fact that all the complex buildings being listed is just wonderful. And we hope you guys submit a Preservation Merit Award nomination. So thank you guys for all of your hard work.
I think we have to occupy it first, then we'll do
No,
that.
not to get a Preservation Merit Award. We'll talk.
Thank you, Kara.
Thank you.
and that's it.
That's it? All right. We have a motion. It's been seconded. I will call the motion to a vote. All those in favor signify by waving. Come on, Lee.
Aye.
There you go. All right. The motion is carried. And we certainly look forward to the completion of the project and appreciate all the work that you're putting into this building to save it and really reinforce the notion of the industrial past of Albany as well, and the rich heritage of Albany's industrial origins. So no, this is a terrific project. I drove down there and took a look at it today. And
So did I.
Yeah, likewise.
I was surprised to see as much work going on as there was. So it's great that you've got people back in the saddle putting it together. So we look forward to a time when we can see a performance within the space as well and see what's happened in there.
So do we.
I'm sure. It's the lifeblood of our community. Are there any other matters to come before the commission this evening?
Thank you all. And Trish, thank you. Good job.
Yeah, thanks so much, everybody.
It's
And
excellent.
Aaron Glennon, I'll send you links or copies of the Larrabee invoice with the church and the permit drawings. I think that might have to be Dropbox or something like that.
Yeah,
So
that's fine.
we can figure it out.
We can figure something out. So, yes, thank you.
Is Karen still here? Because wasn't there a drawing of the old St. Joseph's at Historic Albany? It was part of that exhibit we did in 2005, maybe.
Yeah, we do have something. I feel like it's an engraving. It
Yeah.
may be,
I've seen that.
yeah, I'm trying to think if it's in
I think we've all seen the same thing.
Okay.
That's it.
I'll see if I can find it when I can get back into the office.
Okay.
It's pretty vague too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phase 2. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I would
you.
entertain a motion to adjourn if we are so inclined.
Move we adjourn?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
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 Okay. Well, thank you, everyone.
Bye, all.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Well,
Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
my
everyone.
pleasure. You take it
Good seeing
easy.
you.